At 10:30 p.m. on September 12, 2025, 50 Russian T-90 tanks rumbled toward the Topaz Ammo Depot, a fortress packed with 3,000 tons of high explosives ready to fuel the assault on Pokrovsk. For the Russian convoy, it's just another supply run. For the Ukrainian HIMARS crew positioned miles away in the darkness, this is the perfect kill box. In precisely 6 minutes, $700 million worth of Russian armor and ammunition will cease to exist. But there's a deadly complication brewing. 23 miles out, a Russian Zoopark counter-battery radar has already detected the HIMARS launch signature. A salvo of Smerch rockets is screaming through the night sky, set to obliterate the Ukrainian position in under 6 minutes. The countdown has begun. Deep inside a command bunker, the order echoes through the radio. Launch in 90 seconds. The weapon isn't some experimental superjet. It's an M142 HIMARS, a precision rocket artillery system mounted on a military truck, capable of unleashing absolute devastation. But reaching that target means navigating a gauntlet of death. Past the incoming Smerch rockets hunting them down, past a Panzer missile defense system protecting the depot, under a 3,400 round per minute steel curtain from a Shilka anti-aircraft gun. So, how do you annihilate an entire fortress, eliminate a tank convoy, and escape, all in less time than it takes to microwave dinner? Ukraine has loaded 4 missiles. At 10:34 local time, the Ukrainian commander issues the command. Fire 1. The instant that 600-pound GMLRS rocket blasts off the rails, its launch creates a massive thermal signature against the night sky. A 130-foot column of incandescent exhaust, screaming to every Russian infrared sensor within 20 miles. Here I am. 14 miles away, a Russian Zoopark radar achieves instant lock. And that Zoopark isn't passive. It's feeding live coordinates to a Smerch battery in real time. The Smerch BM-30 battery responds immediately, its revenge rockets already tearing through the atmosphere at 2,600 feet per second. Impact on the HIMARS' last known position. T-minus 4 minutes. Normally, acquiring a target lock and firing in this scenario takes a crew 3 minutes, time they absolutely don't have. But the Ukrainians have deployed a secret advantage. A Morok reconnaissance drone circles high above the battlefield. It's not merely a spotter, it's a battlefield data relay, using a classified link to compress the entire targeting sequence from coordinate reception to launch into just 90 seconds. That first rocket isn't targeting the jackpot. Not yet. This is strategic misdirection, a calculated opening move. Its target, the loading dock adjacent to the main warehouse. The 200-pound unitary warhead strikes with pinpoint accuracy, demolishing the dock completely. It's not a catastrophic blast, but it triggers absolute chaos. The Russian tank crews abandon ammunition loading procedures and scramble for cover. The convoy, previously dispersed for safety, now clusters tightly near the warehouse, creating a perfect concentrated kill zone for what's coming next. This is textbook ambush doctrine. You don't just strike the target, you manipulate the target into destroying itself. By forcing them into dense formation, Ukraine has staged a chain reaction where one exploding tank will detonate its neighbors. Back at the launch site, the HIMARS isn't celebrating. It's already moving, engine roaring as it races toward a new firing position. That 4-minute countdown is shrinking fast, and the sky is about to rain Russian steel. They've just provoked the beast. Now they must outrun it. At 10:34 and 30 seconds local time, the HIMARS driver floors the accelerator, the 16-ton vehicle tearing through Ukrainian terrain as the crew inside battles the clock. That 4-minute Smerch timer has become a 3-minute timer. They must launch the second rocket immediately. Just as they lock coordinates for the second target, the northern warehouse packed with Grad rockets, everything goes haywire. The Russians have activated their TK-25E electronic warfare system, a brute force weapon that floods the area with powerful jamming signals. On the rocket's guidance system, the GPS signal simply disappears. For most precision-guided weapons, this is mission failure. But this is where Ukrainian tactical innovation meets American engineering excellence. The GMLRS rocket doesn't require GPS. The moment the signal dies, its onboard inertial navigation system activates. The INS tracks its own movement, monitoring every microscopic change in velocity and direction using gyroscopes and accelerometers. You can jam the signal, but you cannot jam fundamental physics. And here's the brilliant twist. The Russian jamming, intended as a defensive shield, becomes a navigation beacon. That Morok drone still circling overhead uses the powerful jamming signal as a giant targeting reference, relaying last-second trajectory corrections to the rocket's INS. Russia thought they were creating a blackout. Instead, they painted a massive "strike here" indicator in the sky. The Ukrainian commander smiles grimly. Gap 20 seconds. Fire 2. They're violating standard doctrine, firing faster than regulations permit, accepting the tactical risk. The second rocket screams off the rails, but now it confronts a new threat. With jamming proving ineffective, the Pantsir S-1 defending the depot comes online, absolutely lethal. Its radar locks onto the incoming rocket from 12 miles out. The ETU. Pantsir is lightning fast. Its 57 E-6 missiles travel at Mach 3, but its targeting computer has one tiny fatal vulnerability. It requires a full 8 seconds to calculate a perfect intercept solution on a target this small and fast. The Ukrainian rocket's AI knows this weakness. Halfway through its flight trajectory, it executes something beautiful. It performs a subtle, calculated 15-degree tilt to the left. It's not a dramatic maneuver, but it's sufficient to completely destroy the Pantsir's calculations. The Russian computer is forced to restart its 8-second calculation from scratch. Whoosh! A 57 E-6 missile screams past the GMLRs, missing by 165 feet, a failure measured in milliseconds. The rocket, now back on course, slams directly into the northern warehouse. The initial explosion is devastating, but the chain reaction is truly apocalyptic. The warhead ignites thousands of Grad rockets, which cook off in a volcanic eruption, of fire and shrapnel transforming the entire northern section of the depot into a self-consuming inferno. But the near miss from the Pantsir has exposed another hidden danger. The flash from its missile exhaust illuminated a ZSU-23-4 Shilka, a Soviet-era radar-guided anti-aircraft monster positioned right next to the Convoy. The sky erupts with a new kind of hell. At 10:35 local time, the HIMARS driver has the pedal floored, pushing the engine to 2200 RPMs as they carve a new escape path through the darkness. The Smerch revenge strike is now just 2 minutes out. Back at the depot, the inferno from the northern warehouse has transformed the battlefield into an apocalyptic scene. And the Russian tank convoy is in full panic. They're not awaiting orders, they're attempting escape. But just as they break formation, the hidden Shilka opens fire. The sky erupts in a steel curtain. The ZSU-23-4 Shilka is a Soviet nightmare, EOD, mobile Gatling gun that spits 3,400 high-explosive rounds per minute. It's designed to shred low-flying aircraft in seconds. But the Shilka's critical weakness is its ancient Soviet-era radar. In the thick fog and swirling smoke from the fires, its clutter rejection algorithm is completely overwhelmed. It can detect the rocket, but it cannot achieve a clean lock. The Ukrainian crew anticipated this. They've already relocated 2 miles from their previous position, but they must fire immediately before the convoy escapes. The commander makes the call. Fire 3. Give them something unforgettable. This rocket's mission is different. Its AI has a unique flight plan. Instead of a high ballistic arc, it executes a gut-wrenching 1,500-foot dive, terrain-hugging and using a small ridge as cover. Then, in the final seconds, it pulls up sharply, simulating a pop-up attack maneuver. The Shilka's radar cannot comprehend this tactic. It anticipates a smooth ballistic curve, not a terrain-masking predator. Its guns blaze, stitching a beautiful, terrifying, and utterly useless pattern into empty sky 100 feet above the rocket's actual position. The Shilka failed, but for the HIMARS crew, the real enemy is time. Every second they remain stationary to fire is a gamble against the incoming Smerch rockets, a cold calculation of risk versus ultimate reward. The third GMLRs, its 200-pound warhead packed with cluster submunitions, slams into the Western ammunition stockpile. It doesn't just explode, it blossoms, scattering hundreds of smaller bomblets across the convoy's only escape route. The T-90s are now trapped. In front of them, a wall of fire from the burning Grad rockets. Behind them, a minefield of exploding submunitions. They're paralyzed, sitting ducks in the middle of a kill zone. But the danger escalates. The HIMARS thermal signature from the third launch has given the Panzer a new targeting angle, and the countdown for the Smerch strike has just hit T-minus 30 seconds. They have one rocket remaining and nowhere left to run. At 10:35 and 30 seconds local time, the HIMARS crew has only seconds left. In the cabin, the commander screams, "Fire for and drive! Drive now!" The fourth and final GMLR's rocket leaps off the rails even as the 16-ton vehicle lurches forward, tearing through the mud. A split second later, a series of massive explosions erupts exactly where they were positioned. The Smerch has arrived, a day late and $1 short. But the final act of this tactical symphony belongs to the rocket itself. It's not flying a simple trajectory. Its AI is executing its most brilliant maneuver yet. It crests a small 380-foot ridge, briefly disappearing from enemy radar entirely. Then, just as it comes over the top, its radar altimeter activates at 200 feet, and it plunges downward like a predatory hawk. Watching from the depot, the Panzer operator sees this new unexpected threat and enters full panic mode. He ripple fires all three of his remaining 57 E-6 missiles in a desperate last-ditch salvo, but he's firing at a phantom in a hurricane. The rocket's pre-programmed dive gives the Russian missiles zero time to adjust. 3 streaks of fire and thunder tear through empty air where the rocket should have been. The HIMARS vanishes into the night. Mission complete. The final rocket is now unopposed. And it's not aimed at a structure. It's a personal delivery for the 50 T-90 tanks and the S-300 missile systems they were parked beside. As it screams toward the trapped, burning convoy, it's not just a warhead anymore. It's a match about to be thrown into a gasoline factory. The fourth rocket's targeting camera locks on. 50 T-90 tanks and their S-300 escorts are trapped, paralyzed between a wall of fire and a minefield of submunitions. Russian crews are abandoning their multi-million-dollar machines, scrambling for cover that doesn't exist. There's nothing left to stop what's coming. The GMLRS rocket is now a 600-pound angel of destruction, and it's about to deliver judgment. At 10:49 local time, the symphony reaches its crescendo. First, the delayed chain reaction from the first rocket. The 200-pound warhead didn't just explode. It functioned like a key, punching a hole through the main warehouse wall. 300 milliseconds later, the shockwave strikes pallets of 150mm artillery shells. A secondary detonation erupts, blowing the warehouse inside out. Then the trap from the third rocket. Its submunitions continue detonating across the escape route, a rolling minefield of fire and steel ensuring not a single tank can reverse out of the kill zone. And finally, the fourth rocket arrives, the grand finale. It slams directly into the largest cluster of T-90s. The warhead detonates, but the real devastation comes from physics itself. Extreme heat meets diesel fuel and solid rocket propellant. The result is a cataclysmic blast reaching over 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit, vaporizing everything at the epicenter and leaving a 40-foot deep crater. A miniature mushroom cloud of burning fuel and toxic black smoke rises over Topaz. When dawn broke, the aerial reconnaissance footage told the complete story. Russia didn't just lose a supply depot. They lost 3 weeks of ammunition stockpiles. They lost 50 of their most advanced T-90 main battle tanks. An entire armored spearhead positioned to break through the lines at Pokrovsk had simply vanished in a single night. 10,000 Russian soldiers on the front line suddenly found themselves with nothing to fire. The planned offensive was delayed for at least a month. What started as a convoy ambush had become a strategic masterpiece. Let's break down the economics. Ukraine fired 4 GMLRS rockets, approximately $600,000 worth of precision munitions. In exchange, they erased a $700 million ammunition depot and tank convoy. That's not just a favorable return on investment. That's a strategic financial miracle. It also demonstrates the most critical lesson in modern combined arms warfare. Never, ever stop to load ammunition when you know Ukrainian precision strike systems are watching. What tactical approach would you have used for that third rocket to trap the convoy? Drop your battle strategies in the comments below.